Okay, welcome back, guys. In this video here, we're gonna talk about statistical and critical thinking. But mainly, this lesson, what we want to get out of this is to understand the result of a study that constitute whether that result is considered to be or to have statistical significance or practical significance. So that's what we want to get out of this lesson here. So we'll get that in a second here. But let's start by just discussing the three stages of any statistical study that formally or any research will carry out in order what they need to do for each stage. And the first stage of any study would be prepare. Under prepare, we want to look at the context of the study, right? And even the data, right? What's the goal of the study? What do the data represent? And then after the context, we want to assess the source of the data. Is the source of the data, is it valid? Is it biased, right? Then once we have the source data, we look at what type of sampling method. Is the sampling method sound? Is it unbiased, right? After stage one, we move on to stage two, which is analyze. Once we have collected data, we graph the data, and then we explore the data. Meaning, are there any outliner? Are there any significant data value that we should be worried about? How are the data distributed? What kind of distribution we have? Let's see. After that, we use apply any appropriate statistical methods to get the results. Usually, we use technology when we get to this part here. Then we move on to stage three. Under stage three, we have conclusion, right? So conclusion, we want to look at whether the study here has a result that considered to be any significance. And there's two types of significance. We have statistical significance and then we have practical significance. So statistical significance will be a result in a study that doesn't quite happen by chance as often. Practical significance will be something or a result from a study that is relevant to us or more usefulness or useful that we can put to use or we can actually care about it, right? However, we get to those example more toward the end of this lesson here. So let's get to example one. Example one is to determine whether the given source has the potential to create a bias in a statistical study. And bias is just a word that referred to. So bias is what we say when someone is having a strong opinion, having a strong or having prejudice in favor of a particular sampling when collecting data. Or if we want to use a much more easy example, I would say, all right, so I love Popeye chicken, so I think they're the best. So when I have a discussion with other people and they say, well, no, Chick-fil-A is better, then I'll probably say, no, it's Popeye is better. So I have a much more strong opinion on that. And any other fried chicken out there, like KFC, I probably say, well, they're not as good. Not until I try to have a different flavor. So bias is when you have a strong opinion on something and it's hard for you to change that opinion when you look at in terms of collecting data. So you want to be unbiased when you collect data, so that way the result itself won't be biased either. So that's the thing is oftenly when we see things in news, we have to be really careful where the data come from, how's the data being presented. Is it presented in a way where it could be biased? Because the way even the way the question is asked, right? Um, so let's get back to the example here. So this example should be really obvious why the given source has a potential to create bias here. So it says that in an article in General Nutrition note that is rich in flavonoids, and the article notes that regular consumption of foods rich in flavonoids may reduce risk of um, coronary heart disease. The study received funding from Mars Inc., the candy company, and the Chocolate Manufacturers Association. So this article has a finding that they're saying that regular consumption of foods rich in flavonoids may reduce risk of coronary heart disease, and chocolate has a lot of this. Well, the funding for this article is from the chocolate company. No bias at all, right? No, there's a lot of bias going on here. So certainly in this case here, there is. We will say that yes. Equals yes here. There appears to be a potential bias since the researcher received funding from the chocolate company or candy company. So there's a motive to create a result that align with the company's belief. Okay. Example 2, determine whether the sampling method appeared to be sound or flawed. In the survey of beliefs about evolution, Gallup pollsters randomly selected and telephoned 10-18 adults in the United States. Okay. Well, let's see here. Is there any flawed at all? So how are these survey being selected? So they randomly selected. Okay, there's a word randomly selected. And telephone 10-18 adults in the United States. So these adults were randomly selected. So, based on this here, there isn't anything that kind of stand out and make it flaw. I think it's because the data we collected is randomly because these adults were selected randomly. So right there will tell us that this is a sound. So we'll say the sampling method appears to be sound. And it has to do with the randomly part. That allows us to not have any bias in it because we randomly pick these people, right? What is wrong with this survey? Example 3. This survey say that 72% of Americans squeeze their toothpaste tube from the top. This and other not so serious findings are included in the first really important survey of American habits. Those results are based on 7,000 responses from the 25,000 questionnaires that were mailed. What is wrong with this survey? What is wrong? What do you guys think? Okay, so I don't even know here. So do we really care about this topic at all here? Whether we squeeze the toothpaste from the top or the bottom, and which part of the toothpaste is the top or the bottom here? Anyway, so what is wrong with this survey? This type of study, we call this as a voluntary response sample. So we say the study or the result, the study is or was from a voluntary response sample. And what that is that 25,000 questionnaires were mailed and they got this 7,000 responses. To be honest, I don't remember the last time I respond a survey in my mail. I normally would throw it away. So if there is a survey that I decide to respond, I mean they have a strong opinion about it. Therefore, I'm being biased. So this is not a valid study here, or it's not a reliable source of data here. So the way we define voluntary response sample is just as I said. We said this is the study, or is one in which the respondents or the subject themselves decide whether to be included in the study. And that's not good. Okay. All right, moving on. The last thing here we're looking at is statistical significance and practical significance. So statistical significance, this is when a result in a study that is unlikely to happen by chance. And then practical significance is a result study that is useful in applied context. Okay, so an example to demonstrate this would be for statistical significance. So let's say we flip a coins, flip a coin 100 times. Okay, and then let's say I get the first time, for first 100 times I got 52 out of 100 heads. Okay, well, that result there, one might say that the coin is fair, because 52 out of 100 is about close as 50%. So yeah, that's pretty likely to happen. What if I do another study when I get 97 heads out of 100? Well, what does that mean? It means the coin is not fair. If the coin is fair, this result here, for one to flip the coin 100 times and get 97 heads out of 100, that's unlikely to happen by chance, right? So in this case here, this has, a statistical significance to it. Okay. All right. Let's moving on to example 4, where we discuss practical significance a little bit here. So in a study of Cayman diet and exercise program, 40 subjects lost an average of 22 pounds. There is about 1% chance of getting such result with a program that has no effect. Okay. All right, let's see what they're saying here. So we got 40 subjects lost an average of 22 pounds. We're going to assume this is in a year here. So in a year. Okay. And then it's saying that, the following sentence say that this result here, this result has 1% chance of getting with a regular program. Okay. It has no effect. So if I was to do a regular, diet for a year that has no, effect at all, for me to lose 22 pounds in a year, that's about 1% chance. Okay. So this result of 40 subject loss on an average 22 pounds here, this here is something that considered to be significant, and it is statistical significant because it doesn't happen by chance quite often. So it's unlikely to happen by chance, because it has 1%. So another question you may ask is, what does it mean? When do we draw the borderline to say, oh, 2% chance or 3% chance or 15% chance? Is that considered to be unlikely? Where do we draw the cutoff point, right? So later on this semester, we're gonna have that. We're gonna establish that boundary for an event to have a probability or have a chance that is 5% or less. We say that is unlikely happening by chance. So we define this pretty soon in chapter 4. So this is less than or equal to 5%, and that is considered to be unlikely. Okay, so going back to this example here, we say that this diet here, this exercise program, have a statistical significance. Yes, it does. Okay. Why? Because the result is unlikely to happen by chance, since such result has only about 1% chance. Okay, so does this result here have a practical significance? So this is where we have to assess, and it could be different from one interpretation to another. So the result, so we say result. Okay, result. 40 subjects lost an average of 22 pounds. So you might think, okay, well, you know what, 22 pounds is a lot, so I think this is practical. Another person said, well, if I'm gonna sign up for a diet program, exercise, and in a year I lose on average 22 pounds, that's not a lot. I need to lose more. So maybe this is not practical. You want to sign up for more expensive, more effective diet program, right? So that's kind of a very a answer that open to interpretation. So I'm gonna say practical, significant. This is open to interpretation. Okay, so most of us, we want to say yes, although 22 pounds is not a substantial amount. Okay, but it has, you know, it's amount. It appears to be practical. Okay, one might say no, 22 pounds is not that much. So I'm not gonna go with this program. It's not practical, right?